Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Do Tech. It's been a while, and today I have a special guest with me. I have Tony Movie, a very, very special friend. Been friends for, I think we've been friends for over 5 years now. I think I'm sure of that. So, yeah, and I'm happy to have Tony on the show today. And guys, I'm pretty sure you're going to be learning a lot from him. Tony is an illustrator, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be introducing himself. He's going to um you know tell us more about himself. So, but the little I know about Tony is an illustrator. I know he's someone who loves God, who loves the things of God also, um, and I can say is a should I say is a force to reckon with when it comes to the comic world in Nigeria.
Yeah,
As far as I know,
yeah,
we didn't mention
yeah,
anything comic here in Nigeria.
yeah,
Toy
yeah, hundred
Toy's
percent,
name comes to my mind. So yeah. So
hundred
Toy,
percent.
you have the floor now. Just introduce yourself in any way, something that I don't know I want people to know about
Okay, so I'm tempted to pull out my bio that I scripted out,
you.
but that one is for that's the official. This thing. I'll just say something that is more natural. So, hello everyone. My name is Toyin Ajit Mobi. I go by the moniker Morbi. Um, which is just is a name that it's just derived from my normal name. It's one of those things that you do when you are younger, and
Mm-hmm.
because it gets so popular, it's already too late to change it. You know.
I
But
feel
I go
you.
by Morbi actually. So yeah, what I do is I'm an illustrator, and a concept artist. One of the things I like to do when I'm describing that to people, especially people that are in Nigeria, is that I just ask them that, oh, did you read Super Strikers when you were growing up? You get, and
Mm,
immediately I tell them that it lights up something in their brain. So I now explain to them that what I do basically is I draw comic books. It's a very wide field actually. But I'm more known currently now. I'm more known for being part of projects like of course the recent one Iyanu, Malaika, EXO, things from Unique Studios, and then some of the other projects I've done are from Eton Comics. That one is an Ethiopian superhero brand and all that. So, but basically, I do comic books. Also, what I do is the second aspect of what I like to introduce myself as is a concept artist. So, basically, I'm one of those guys that when you are thinking of, oh, I want to do a new IP, like a new game, a new comic book. I want to design like all my characters. I want to design the world. You need an artist that can help you do that on paper first, so that you are not burning money when you want to produce those things. So another way I like to explain it to people is that if a music producer wants to, sorry, if a movie producer wants to produce a movie, right? Most times, most of the movies that we are familiar with are movies that are they don't really have special effects like that, right? So it's easy to just produce those things on the fly. You plan the
mm-hmm.
costumes, you plan the locations, you plan that it's a love story. So basically, Kunle is your character with Busayo, and and all this. So it's very simple. But if you are doing a movie that has to do with like special effects, special characters, special costumes, and all that, you can't just throw money, and start doing those doing that in live in live action. You need artists that will draw something on paper, that will design those things on paper, or on computer, right, and develop those things so that you have the design set down before you now start spending money to produce those things in the real world. So that's the second aspect of my work. So I usually introduce myself as illustrator, concept artist, and basically the field that I work in is more of entertainment, right? So you
Yeah.
won't find my work. You won't find me doing work that is a bit, commercial. Things that have to push different products. I'm being careful. I don't want to name any brand here, any brand
That's
here.
fine.
So but more of the things I do is entertainment, meaning that you see me doing comic books which are for kids to unwind, to have fun. Sometimes teenagers, mostly teenagers, they'll be reading it and they'll be having fun and all that. So And I mean, I would just like to use this opportunity to say that, man, the fact that it's entertainment is actually serious business. Sure, you get, because
Yeah,
I
true.
get, no, I get that thing a lot from people where they are like, first of all, safe, most of the times, when people see me, they'll first of all think that, okay, this one, he must be a banker or politician
Mm.
or doctor. So, so, so it's always strange when I tell them that I do comics and cartoons, and I know Europe. I don't say Europe, Nigerian say cartoon. You do cartoons. You don't look like someone that you don't look like someone that does it. And
Mm.
things
Yeah,
like that. They are a bit deliberate for me because I've noticed that if you don't take yourself seriously, people won't take you seriously, right? I
yeah.
mean, you can attest to it from university days that the way I used to do it as if my
Hmm.
life depended on it, as if I don't do it, something bad will happen. The whole world will, I mean, I don't know if we can go
Yeah,
into
yeah.
all that of how that you were on my case, that guy come to class. Guy come to
Yeah,
class.
it got to a point I was like, wait, why? Because okay, for those that don't know, Tony were in computer department at some point, so
Yeah,
it got to a
yeah.
point like, wait, what exactly are you even doing in this department? Why not just go and
Go and do your art thing. Should you say it's art?
doing your art? It was
Yeah,
just strange to me because I felt like, okay, you deciding to come to computer was because of a reason. Okay, maybe you fell in love with programming or something, but seeing
yeah,
you always with your Whatcom tab
yeah,
drawing,
yeah.
like,
In the
guy.
library. Yeah, yeah. Everybody will be
Oh, no.
coding, but you now see one guy with Photoshop in the library. I don't know. It's like
Oh my god.
so, but I
But
think we can delve into that, like the background thing, right? I think that's a good way to delve
yeah,
into that. So,
yeah. So
um,
so
yeah,
there's a question. There's a question I want to ask. Has this been something that you've always wanted to do from when you were young, or you just came in after a while, like maybe you saw it somewhere, or it has been like your dream right from when you were young?
yeah. So, it has, but I didn't take it seriously until secondary school ish, right?
Okay.
Um, so what happened was that, I mean, I've always had it as, I think the very first comic book I read was an X-Men book, right? At least thank God
Mm,
X-Men
okay.
is now on the big screen, so everybody knows X-Men, right? Right. So then after that was when I now started seeing Super Strikers, right? So it was kind of, you could say it was an obsession as it were, because I was younger and all that. And I liked drawing. Um but I didn't see it as a I don't think I saw it as a career path like that when I was in primary school ish, junior secondary school. I think I was just doing it as, as every young person, you don't want to be serious with life now. You just want to play, you just want an escape. So I just use those things I'm serious. I just use those things as an escape, right? Cartoons, comics, and football too. Yeah, I remember I thought I wanted to be
Mm,
a footballer, but so so it was now around the um SS2. I think it's SS1 or SS2. I'm not sure, but I remember the year particularly that it was 2012. So in fact, which also leads into some of the things I know we'll talk about, which is the events, right? So I
mhm.
attended that event for the first time in 2012, right? Lagos Comic Convention. So that was the
Mm,
first time that I now met, real people like me that really, really like this whole, comic thing. Because usually before then I was just around, what we call normal people, quote unquote, people that they don't even care about all these things, you know. Because back then I was doing as if I was this encyclopedia. I'll be using technical jargons that only comic readers understand, and no, people didn't really understand it. So when I now went for that convention for the first time, I now saw my bosses, people that
mm.
their own is more than me. You get what I'm saying? And and then apart from that, I now saw people that were actually professionals that were doing it as their work. Sure, you get what I'm saying? I started seeing people that were coming to sell their books. I saw artists that were coming to sell their own, that came as independent selves. That, oh, so what they'll do is they'll print out their works, and people, fans that they have already, will come to that convention and come and patronize them physically and all that. So I met a lot of people that were better than me and actually did this thing as work. Had conversations with them. So that was the first time that I got the idea that it's actually possible to do this thing as a job. right, in Nigeria. Um, this was 2012. So 2012 was the point where I now decided, okay, I want to start developing myself, and hopefully somehow, someday, somewhere, I should be able to get this thing as a job done. I think I was in SS1 or SS2. I'm trying to be careful because I'm sure my secondary school mates will listen to this, and if I'm capping, if I'm capping, they'll say, this guy, you know, so it was around then. So, and I just spent the remaining few years I had in secondary school trying to develop my portfolio, so that after that SS3 I can start fishing out for work. Um, in retrospect now, if you ask me, I'm not sure why I thought it was possible, to be honest, because in
Mm.
retrospect it didn't feel possible. It shouldn't have been possible, right? Um, you know, I don't know, because the reality, like even now, say if someone tells me they want to do this, seriously as a job, you know, thinking of all the things that I have had to, all the hurdles I've had to go through, you know,
Mm.
I would say that nowadays, I'm not super excited when someone tells me they want to do this as a job, because I'm like, if you really are serious about that statement, there are a lot of hurdles you have to go through. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, see, the number one hurdle already is the fact that you are doing it in Nigeria. That
Mm.
has its own implications because it's not so
Yeah,
practical a job. Yeah, keep
yeah,
going.
because actually wanted to even ask that. Looking at it in the Nigeria space, like how profitable is this thing? Because as much as one loves what you're doing as a passion, there's also like, okay, is this thing profitable? Can I live off this in this environment? Like, how profitable is it for you in that sense?
So I think I know it's actually extremely profitable. The only issue is
Mm-hmm.
that the learning curve is very high. Sure you get what I'm
Mm.
saying. But that's good news and bad news. So the good news is that the bad news that is that the learning curve is high. So if one is starting out, if you are serious, extremely serious, you need like 2 years. And that 2 years is that you are not doing anything except just drawing and trying to improve
Mm-hmm.
your art. And hopefully you have someone, some maybe a supportive family system that is taking care of your basic needs, such that it's just your focus for 2 years. And even that 2 years,
Mm.
you just use that 2 years to secure your first project, of which it's now super competitive because you're still not that great, right? So it's
Yeah.
lucrative, but the learning curve is very high. But the good news about the learning curve being very high is that it can't be saturated so easily. Sure you get what
Mm.
I'm saying. So you can't. It's not like design where it's like, oh, in 6 months you will learn how to design, and you can actually be a good designer in 6 months if you are serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even
Yeah.
throwing shades at or design or anything. I do a lot of design too. You get what I'm saying? And I know design also. As saturated as design is, I know that the next level of how like the people that make off a lot out of it are those who, how do I say it now? Those who do the job of actually taking their stuff up a notch more. So they are not just
Yeah.
basic again, they are now going deeper. So you get what I'm saying? So anything
Yeah.
can be
True.
lucrative. It's just the fact that you want to be amongst the people that are doing it extraordinarily, not the people that are just
Mm-hmm.
doing it ordinarily. Right. So the funny thing is that
Yeah.
even now, I think digital arts illustration is already becoming more saturated now. Because when I started, back then when we were in first year of university, it was very rare. I had to every because I had to do it in public spaces, so I always had to be
Mm.
re-explaining what I'm doing to everybody. So you get what I'm saying. But now,
True.
almost everybody is saying, "Oh, I'm a portrait artist." Nowadays, people can paint on their phones, right? Um,
Yeah.
so what happens when a field starts becoming saturated is that yeah, it's saturated, and maybe you think it's hard to get jobs, but what really happens is the fact that you now need to take it up a notch, to get to the point where you are actually making something that is lucrative and livable off of. Um, I mean, I still strongly believe it's very lucrative. It's just the fact that apart from now learning the core skill, there's also other things you now start needing to learn, like business, how to manage yourself, freelancing,
Yeah.
this and that. You know. So, but sorry, I'm still riffing. But one thing I know that really
It's fine.
helps,
It's fine.
one one thing I know that really helps. Okay, so for example, especially in the Nigerian market, one thing I know that helps artists a lot is, those who are willing to be adaptable, right?
Mm.
um, adaptable to until they get to the point where they can now, sorry, specialize in what they really want to do. You get what I'm saying? So I know that's one of the things that really helped me was that I was willing to be adaptable a lot, right? Because I remember when I was trying to learn this, as much as I was learning it, so I went to the first time I learned Photoshop was in a local studio in when I say local, I just mean it was close by. I know that it's
Mhm.
local as in this thing in a studio in Lagos here, right? And I remember that you know the owner of the studio, he was a comic person as you were, but the studio's um, primary focus at the time was advertising, right? Because that's what was bringing in money, right? And
Okay.
when I was in their studio and all that, I was like, guys, when we start doing the entertainment things, all this commercial stuff is not, it's not interesting, Jerry. Why are we doing posters and ad campaigns for XYZ company? You know, but I had to be adaptable enough to, while I was, in their studio using their resources to try and learn Photoshop, I had to try to be adaptable enough to learn graphic design, right? And I
Yeah.
interned there for a while, and then later on, I think I interned there for like 1 year before they now promoted me to junior designer, right? Now, this is me
Mm.
that I didn't like. If you ask, if, even up to now, actually, I think now I like design now. But back then, I just hated design because I was like, let's draw superheroes fighting and punching themselves. That's all I want.
Mm.
You get what I'm
Mm.
saying? But I made sure I had to be adaptable enough to stick with it because back then, and I remember back then they were paying me a stipend, right? And I remember that time what they were paying was actually a lot because I wasn't paying rent. The
Mhm.
transport wasn't so much and all that, so I had a lot off of what they were paying me then. So I needed what they were paying me as kind of like a leverage while I was still trying to get better at the real thing that I was quote unquote passionate about. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like one
Yeah.
of the things that really helped me or helps because that's why I still rely on helps me survive in the Nigerian space is the fact that I try to be as adaptable as possible, even though I have what I am super passionate about. I try to just be realistic that okay, how can I use the resources, the situation that is around me, right? Adapt to it and still try to maintain. I'm sorry, still try to achieve what I want to achieve. Because I know that that's one of the issues I have with
Yeah.
when I talk to younger artists and all that. You're like, oh, I want to start earning in dollars tomorrow. Sure, you get what I'm saying? Okay, good
Mhm.
idea, nice idea. But where's your skill now? You get what I'm saying? Can you,
Yeah.
can you realistically just say that okay, I will take a part-time job, you know, working in maybe a restaurant close by. Then in the evening, I'll go back home and go and be doing my drawing and still trying to look for more for work, right? And then the first day I get my first client that is paying me in naira, let me be happy about that. Keep working on myself until I get to the ideal. But a lot of younger artists
Mm.
that people just come in and all that, they're like, oh, they just want to enter and get to the ideal straight away. Which I don't think works in the Nigerian space, to be honest. Even if you're in the American space now, the American space is such that they are, how do I say it now? They are junior artist is already way ahead of you. You get what I'm
Mm.
saying? So there's a lot of there's still so no matter how we slice it, really, I don't think there's any silver bullet. I just feel like the lucrativeness is the fact that you are willing to be adaptable and to really,
People.
really work hard to get to make sure your work is standing out, really. So that's
Yeah,
just
but but
basically it.
but, but for me now, looking at the adaptability thing that you made mention of, I
Yeah.
know that because as you were just saying it, I was like, okay, what are people adapting to right now? Because okay, I feel like okay, what's like you people's greatest competition right now is
Yeah.
a generative AI. Because
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I follow some guys on YouTube. I don't know if
yeah,
you know them, Corridor Crew or something. They
yeah, yeah, yeah. I follow them.
they
Yeah,
literally do all that you do, right? With
yeah.
just some few
Even better.
commands and few
Yeah,
stops, and I feel like okay.
yeah.
Now, how are you guys adapting to that right now? Because it's not going to go away. It's something that's
Right.
going to keep improving every single day, every single month, every single year. So
Right.
are you adapting to that, or are you implementing that into the things that you do at the moment?
Right. So I think um so personally for me, I think the way out of that is the fact that you now step back and look at your whole process and say, okay, where is AI taking over my process? And what it does is that it exposes a weakness in what you do already, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the point is now to step back and look at, okay, what are the other parts of what I do that I've been postponing to forever? um, and is this now the time to pick it up? So what am I saying, for example? Um, AI can in the art space now, AI can give you a well polished, you know, just one image illustration, a pinup. We call it a pinup, right? Or a promotional poster. Let's say you have an IP, you've developed a game or something, and you need a poster to just showcase that game, right? So you hire an illustrator, or you have a team of illustrators that will do a very refined, polished promotional painting of that game, right? So that's what AI can do that now, right? But can AI tell a full story with can AI tell a full story that is illustrated, right? That is like a whole comic book. You get what I'm saying? That is totally
Yeah.
illustrated, with the whole storytelling elements, written properly, getting all the emotional beats, getting all the consistency of the character, you know. Can he do that perfectly? I don't think so. Not yet. You get what I'm saying? Um, And if we can't do that, I know that, okay, that means that maybe it's time to now look at, okay, can I get better at the bigger picture? Can I get better at telling the full story rather than just settling for, oh, I just supply my customer with one image and we're done. You get what I'm saying? So now you're now thinking of how you can do
Yeah.
bigger things. Same thing for design and all that is that, oh, if AI can already just design, um, if AI can just design, um, let's say AI can design a vehicle that will be used in the next, maybe the Batmobile for the next Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
AI can just design one shot of the vehicle, do a nice concept of a nice image of one Batman vehicle, right? Can AI think of, okay, how would the vehicle work in the movie? You get what I'm saying? What I just described to you now is concept art, concept design, right? So it just means that everybody's going to have to step up their game. You get what I'm saying? And think of the parts that AI can't really be relied on to do. Because one of the things I know that it can't really do is really consistency, right? It can't give you a holistic experience. I know that as I'm saying this, maybe it has different applications in different fields. So you get what I'm saying? But in something like
Yeah.
illustration, comics, illustration and all that, it can't give you a consistency that you want. You get what I'm saying? It can't be easily. It's not easily editable to people's specific needs. Sure, you get what I'm saying? And usually it's still someone that has a strong artistic knowledge that is needed for some things like that. You get what I'm saying? So no matter,
Oh,
and one of the things that I'm super confident about with the whole AI conversation, especially when it comes to art. So you get so
mm-hmm.
me, I only have some authority in talking about how it affects art. So how it affects other fields, I'm not sure. But how it affects art is that people like people like receiving and enjoying art from human beings. Sure, you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
know people's reaction if I tell you that your favorite artist, singer now, maybe if we tell you that his song, he did everything with AI, you know how that would turn you off. Sure, you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, human beings like relating with human beings, right? And it takes
Yeah.
human beings to bring something new to the table, especially with art. That art is about how can we get something novel. You get what I'm saying? Something new.
Mm-hmm.
So if AI is being trained on already available data and just regurgitating what we already have, that's what it does with the art space. It just regurgitates what we already have. And it's just going to be like a vicious circle, right? So it still takes artists to
Mm,
bring something new to the table. So it's not that, oh, you now look at your own process, what you're offering, and think of how can I bring something new to the table. For some artists, it's a thing of,
mm.
oh, I need to bring my own personality. You get? I need to bring my own
Into it.
personality more to the table. You get what I'm saying? or I need to, and I even feel like the African artist has not even explored up to half of what we have on ground. You get what I'm saying? Because when you read some of
Mm-hmm.
our folk tales, some of our history and all that, you just see that, man, it's still a rich resource to bring content out and all that. So the whole
Yeah.
AI conversation, when it comes to art and all that, I'm not so sure it's a it's wide. It's a big
But
deal in some areas, but like I feel like a healthy optimism towards it is still important, because no matter what, human beings will still be needed to do some work. If it were
yeah,
that, if
true.
sorry, please, I feel like I keep giving
No
long
problem. No
answers to
problem.
your
Go on.
questions.
Go on.
you know,
It's fine. It's fine.
if we're doing a field that was more functional, you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
If we were engineers now, I feel like yes, AI is a threat to functional fields. That is things that are functional. But for something that is entertainment, I'm not sure it's. I still feel like entertainment is still quite safe from that kind of thing, because it's about stories, and
Yeah.
it's a luxury.
Yeah, because one thing I notice is anything that still involves maybe human feelings to it, because
Yeah,
drawing is not just I'm putting pencil on paper. It's more or less like
yeah,
you're expressing what is inside of you out. So
yeah,
there's that feeling to it. So and I don't know how beautiful, I don't know how good AI is right now. I don't think AI, maybe some can generate or can replicate feelings in one way or the other. I just feel like that human touch has its uniqueness in it. And
yeah,
I also make use of AI in my own world too. I'm in the UI
yeah,
UX product design. But
yeah,
what me I use AI for is more like a mood board in that sense.
yeah.
I
Getting
need
the conversation
inspiration
started.
concerning something.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly, just to get something started. That does not mean that my final design is going to be AI. No, 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 no.
right,
It's just
right.
let me see, just to let's put things together. Then from there, I start up my own design concepts and move on like that. Yeah, it's just quite interesting sometimes. Sometimes I just feel like let me just see what's happening with AI and the hardware, and I see what people are doing with AI. I'm like, okay, because I remember there's this thing because I also loved doing comics and this when I was quite young. I remember this is a
Yeah,
flip book where you
okay.
draw each step of every single thing. By the time you flip it, now looks like the character is
Animation.
moving, that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. I remember I've done it before. Then there was a day I saw it. Someone just did something like that with just some few codes and like, are you kidding?
yeah.
I remember the amount of time it took me to be able to
Yeah,
do that. Now with just some few text somewhere, you have
yeah,
that generated
yeah,
for you.
yeah.
So it's just quite exciting. I'm happy for it. I'm not even against it, right? I'm happy that
Nice.
it's even coming. Those things are
Right.
coming out. It's just to kind of help with what is happening. Maybe some of the monotonous um routine or the routine work in what you do, it just
Yeah,
makes it a
yeah,
bit
yeah,
faster where you focus
yeah,
on the more
yeah,
creative
yeah,
arm of it. So yeah,
yeah.
it's quite interesting. I think this is just off the topic now.
Sure.
I know, I think in our conversation before I mentioned that you you were the one of the reasons why I started doing this podcast, and I'm going to explain to you
Oh
why.
wow. Oh wow.
So,
Really? You're putting me on the spot like this.
so what happened was I remember there was a friend I met, and she was like, okay, what does she like to do? She said she likes to draw. If you can remember, there was a time I had a call with you one
Right.
time like that. She said
Right.
she likes to
Yeah.
draw. She's interested in doing comics. And that, yeah, okay. I'm not a comic person anymore, but I know somebody that is into comics. What I can do is I might not be able to give the person's number, but I can maybe have a conversation on behalf of you with the person. So
Yeah.
whatever the person
Yeah.
says, I'll record it and send it. So it was during that call, I just felt like, okay, that was when the idea of the whole this thing can be I can have a podcast where I can bring people in and they talk about their walks of life, and so that it's not just going to be only one person that have access. A lot of people now have access to it. So,
Right.
and
Right.
truth be told, that is where the whole spark started from. I remember I designed my
I
first
remember.
podcast, the first podcast flyer. Then
I remember.
sometimes I just look at it, it's your face. It's still like,
I
wow.
remember.
All this
I remember.
started. All this
I
started
remember.
because I had a
Yeah.
conversation with you at a point in
Yeah.
time. So, and really, Dotag is grateful to have
Right.
you back now on the show itself. That
I
okay,
appreciate
yes, the
that.
podcast is now
Yeah.
real.
I
It's
appreciate
good
that.
to
I
have you.
appreciate that.
So so now let's talk about Iyanu, right? Iyanu like has
Okay.
been like the major boss right now in the comic world in the
Yeah.
Nigerian
Yeah.
space. And
Yeah.
so like what how did you get yourself involved in the project? How or maybe just say something about Iyanu and how the
Right.
project came to be and how you got
Right.
involved. Yeah.
So first of all, this is where this is where I'll now be like super careful so that I don't say what will get me in trouble. So-
we
because
don't mind spoilers also actually, but anyways,
no,
go
no,
on.
I beg. No, before I now receive mail from my bosses that okay, oh. So but yeah,
Okay.
I'll try to keep everything just top level.
Okay.
Iyanu is a project by Unique Studios. Um, the founder of Unique Studios is Rio Kope. Uh, so basically, it's the story of a girl, that has supernatural powers, and is on this journey to find herself, and of course, just defeats the evil that is in her world, right? So she does this with like the help of some friends, and it's set in like ancient Yoruba land. Um, but it's like like it's like a fantasy version of Yoruba land, which is just so
Mhm.
cool. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes I used to be like around that 20 2010s 20 I think 2012 down was when superhero movies were now coming on screen. No, 2013, that was
Mhm.
when Superman came out and more movies came on screen. I used to be all these guys that's like, oh, because the public were now farming the comic guys, right? So I used to be like,
Mhm.
oh, these
Yeah.
people have come, that's we are the OGs, you get. So usually I notice I notice that when something is on screen and everybody's talking about it, people now start talking about it. But nowadays I don't mind because I'm like, this is what we want. We want people to know that okay, something is going on. Every time there's one, big project that is on screen, it's like a win for us generally. So I'm just happy for the buzz that Iyanu is generating. I'm happy that the people that are excited about it are actually Nigerians, which is just something that is very, very important to me. That's why, in fact, it's not just Iyanu, so when there's any African project that is becoming a cartoon or animation, I'm always pushing it, right? I know last time it was Iwaju, I was all over the place. You would think that I was an artist on it. But my point is that I want more I want more Nigerian stuff to be on the screen. I want more Nigerians to be aware that hey, Nigerians are doing these things too. Your
Mhm.
children, your siblings, your loved ones can start watching it and these things can start forming their own childhood. So you get what I'm saying? So like now for Iyanu is set in like a um, fantasy version of Yoruba land. You get what I'm saying? And imagine how cool it would be
Yeah.
to actually bring the Yoruba land into life through that vessel. It makes if I, so, I can imagine how many kids that when they watch that movie, they are
Mhm.
already intrigued. They are curious about their history. So you get what I'm saying? Like now,
Yeah.
most of us now, where I remember for myself, I was curious about Greek and Roman history, mythology based on the cartoons I was watching, right? And up till now, I have, well, it's better now, but before I had zero idea of anything Yoruba. So you get what I'm saying? But imagine if, I had, I'm serious, imagine if I had, even my
Mhm.
Yoruba speaking we're getting there, we're getting better. So imagine if I had something
Right.
like Iyanu to watch back in days or Iwaju, you get what I'm saying? Where they put in some Yoruba, they put in some history, some mythology and all that. It forms a richer, it makes us more culturally aware, you know. Apart from the fact that
Mhm.
Iyanu is getting big, I really hope to see something like maybe an Hausa project, you get what I'm saying, or an Igbo project. I know there are more Igbo projects, but most of them are comic books at this point. Imagine if we have some of them as animations, you get what I'm saying? It just enriches the conversation, especially for I know, young adults, for children and all that. So it's one of those things, man, I'm super excited about actually. So I'm very happy that Yanu is all over the place now. So how I got involved in it, first of all,
Yep.
my primary role in the whole thing is I'm still working on the comic books. Um, I work as the colorist on the pages, and from time to time I do big posters for it, illustrations, full illustrations that they use for promotion and marketing. Right. So it's actually in 2020 when Rio Coupe reached out to me, the owner of Unique Studios, and he was like, "Oh, I need you to, do some work for me. What are your rates? Are you interested in doing contracts full time and all that?" And it's so funny because I remember the first time I reached out to him was when I was when we were in first year of university. Those were the times when I was just looking for work anyhow, anyway. And I just reached out to him that, please, oh, I'm trying to get some work. I can do anything for you. I can letter your books. Lettering just means adding the dialogue, right? I can add the dialogue to your books and all that. And, back then it was like, oh, there's no opening, right? So 2020 came along, and then we had that conversation where he brought me on board to the team, right? So it wasn't Iyanu that I started working with first. I worked on some of the other projects that they have in their pipeline. I worked on EXO. I worked on Malaika. Malaika has, I know I think listeners here should be familiar with Malaika. Malaika has, in an animation that was released, it is an animation that was released some time ago. So I worked on Malaika. I worked on Windmaker, right? And then it's just recently, about a year ago, that I worked on the Iyanu books. And so that was just how I got involved with the whole thing, and yeah, we're expecting the animation to come out next year, 2025. So yeah, that's it.
I'm happy for how Iyano, yeah, the kind of buzz that goes around Iyano right now, because I myself am a bit not a bit, I'm tempted to, I really want to get the series and start reading. I think this was something I had when I was quite young, but all we had
Yeah,
was mangas,
yeah, manga,
issues from
Spider-Man, the
maybe
Western
Spider
stuff. Yeah,
Man and all
yeah,
that. So I
yeah,
wish I had something like this when I was quite young. Probably maybe it might have drawn my interest a bit more into the comic world and all that. So, and recently you were at a conference, the Lagos Con
Lagos Comic
conference,
Con. Yeah,
14th to
no, not
2nd.
conference. See,
Yeah,
these people
Lagos
that are
Comic Con.
serious. Convention.
Yeah.
Eh? Convention. It's not conference.
Okay.
We're not. We're not.
Eh?
We're not bankers. Thank you. Oh my god.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
right. So the Lagos Comic Con. Yeah. So you said your first time that you were there was 20 what now?
12.
2012.
Yeah.
That was 2012 was the first time. Now you're back there 2024.
Yeah.
That's how many years ago? That's 12 years after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I feel like, so
Wow.
out of the
Time
few, how
flies.
was like the experience like?
Yeah.
How was the whole experience at the event?
Yeah. So yeah, Lagos Comic Con. I mean, so the experience was interesting actually, or is interesting, or was interesting. Anyone? Because every time I go there, I just go there as, the very first time I went there as like nobody, just this youngster. I was
Mhm.
just hanging around the big boys and just trying to, in fact, I remember the first time I went, I couldn't even open my schedule because the people that I saw their drawings, I was like, hey, oppression everywhere. So over the years, I kept trying to attend. I kept attending. I think I was also shuffling school at the time. So, but most times when the time came around, I would travel from school down there, right? So I kept attending, and
Okay.
from every year, it was looking like I would attend as just an anonymous person. But as the years were going by, I was connecting with people that were doing comics and illustrations and all that online. So
Okay.
slowly it's now graduated from attending as a nobody to now attending as someone that wants to have a hangout with his friends, with his artist friends, right? So like
Mm.
5 years into it, we most of us artists, we know that, okay, we might not see ourselves throughout the year, we might just be chatting online, But we know that once September comes around, though, this is the chance that we have to hang out. So it was always an artist meetup. Um, and but this year was one where I now came as, oh, for lack of better word, celebrity, right? Coming to celebrate something, which was,
Yeah.
I mean, which was I'm not sure if I saw it coming, and again, of course, it was a team thing, but it doesn't change the fact that it's actually quite a big deal to actually come around and just come to actually be a speaker, on the panel session. It felt really good. I really felt like, it's one of those landmarks where you're like, okay, it's like this path I'm on is
Mm-hmm.
going somewhere. You get what I'm saying? I think that's I'm telling you, that's like the one of the biggest takeaways from me from the whole experience was that, it's like this one successful hit, because it represents so much. I mean, I remember just the kind of love and support I had from a lot of friends and family, and they were really celebrating the whole thing. In fact, I mean, some people just carried it on their head more than even me myself. That was the speaker. I mean, I was seeing friends and family just share the flyers around, and they were like, "Oh, he's a speaker. He's going to speak at this comic thing. We don't know what it is, oh, but at least he's shy speaker." you know,
God. Yeah.
so it was the love and support, and of course, I mean, the fact that it's coinciding with a successful project that is actually going to be on screen. So like every time you are watching it on screen, you're like, oh, I know one of the guys that worked on it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's very, very surreal, and it's one of those things where I just realized, I mean, I don't think it's something I could have planned, right? It's not
Mm,
something that you're like, oh, it's a one man success story. It's a mixture of many factors, sticking with the right team, working together with the team, being a good person to work with, and all that, handling my relationship with Unique, with the members there. You get what I'm saying? So it's one of those things
yeah.
where I can't even take full credit for. You know, I'm very much grateful to God about the whole thing, to be honest, because it's one of these things where to be honest, I really don't think, while we all do our best to be successful in life, one of the things I'm a strong proponent of is that you really can't plan everything. You actually need
Yeah.
like supernatural help, to be honest. And that's just one of the facts me have come to, well, I've settled it, and I've just come to accept it more and more. So so really, that's what keeps my head straight in times when, like, oh, there's a successful hit, that, oh, well, yeah, you're enjoying the spotlight now, but it really wasn't only you that did it. You had help. You had supernatural help. You had help from family and friends, right? You had help from, I mean, I
Yeah.
remember I had, you know you have goodwill from different people. So it was really just, you know it was really good. It felt really good, and it's one of these. It's just very. It was a very good thing. I'm telling you, we're working on something that, we're working on like a video coverage of the whole experience, right?
Okay. Mm,
Yeah, that one will be released in, like, I think 2 weeks from when we are recording this. It's something that I'm really looking forward to, because
okay.
it's going to kind of chronicle it and just put it out there and really inspire someone. And yeah, another thing I know I really enjoyed about the convention was the fact that I got to meet younger other artists too that were like, wanting to get into this space. A lot of people were like, people were starstruck when they saw me in person, like, I know you, yeah, Mr. And I'm like, calm down. I'm just a normal human being like you. But but not to take myself on seriously. At least it's the fact that at least you are showing people that, this path leads somewhere. Yes, I mean, because I know that after Comic Con, you go back to the reality of your life, and you're like, oh, this whole comics
Mm,
thing, artist stuff in Nigeria, I'm not even sure to go somewhere. But every time you look at, oh, this Moby guy, he did it. I could see that hope in
mm,
a lot of artists' eyes. You get what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that I try to do. I try to be in touch with those guys
yeah.
that, okay, yes, this path leads somewhere. As long as you are willing to work hard, be patient, and just bring your best foot forward, the path will actually lead somewhere. So yeah, that's how I felt about the whole
Okay.
situation. It's really surreal.
So based on what you just made mention of now, the fact that behind the whole glamour and the whole celebration and all, there's still the Tony Ajit. There's
Yeah,
Moby, the artist guy, known for what it does. Now there's a Tony Ajetu movie. So I really
yeah,
want to know if I'm removing concept artist, illustrator, all that from
yeah,
the title, right?
yeah.
What else is Tony like? What do you do outside of that? Or yeah, what do you do outside of that?
I am an how do I say it? A full-fledged. You're already laughing. You know the answer. I'm a full-fledged church guy. Apart from all those things, so fully fledged. Like, see, if I'm not drawing, if you call me at any time, see, you'll just know that the guy is in church. So apart from that, I'm very much
Mm,
active in my church. You know, I go to I attend Heritage of Faith Church in Lagos here. If we're in
okay.
America, we say shout out to my church.
Mm,
But they're a big part of me. They're a big part of me. They really formed a lot
mm,
of things in me. The family, the community there, my pastor. So apart from that, I'm very much an active church guy. Apart from concept art and illustration, I'm an avid reader. I read a lot. In fact, um, if not because of just the realities of life that you have to work, I wish they could just pay someone to just be reading. I'll be that guy. you know.
mm,
And I read fiction, I read non-fiction. You get what I'm saying? I read non-fiction and
mm,
fiction.
mm.
Um, so yeah, apart from those things, I read a lot. I'm a church guy. I want to get into games, but every time I try, I'm just too busy for that. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
So I just more of like a personal question, or like any challenge so far, like if you could point to like one or two challenges that you faced that kind of formed you formed where you are right now, that maybe those challenges were like high points in your life, if any of and one or two that you can remember, that I feel like you're happy I went through this challenge and I was able to, either you did well or you did not do well, but this challenge that you faced had like a strong impact in who you are right now. Is there any situation like
Hmm. Hmm. I remember when we were having the dry run, you told me to prepare for this question, but I totally forgot. I, I totally forgot to prepare for this question. So now I'm trying to think of any down points in my life where um challenges,
can I
challenges.
say something if you don't mind?
Sure, sure, shoot. Oh yeah, I have a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I think I know what you want to say. Okay, let me hear.
Okay. So I remember we were both in school. Um, yeah. Computer department. It just got to a point I felt like, okay, as I said, Tony is he prefers to draw than to come to class. Normal. That is who he is. So it got to a point like, okay, we stopped seeing Tony for for coming for tests, coming for exams. You got to a point I felt like, has this guy even dropped out?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
nobody knows where Tony is, nobody
yeah,
knows where he is.
yeah,
So but after a while I found out that okay, that you were switching
yeah,
department,
yeah,
and that led to an extra semester
yeah,
in school. So
yeah,
that's one thing that I know that
yeah,
you faced. I don't know
yeah,
how was that.
yeah. So I think I just remember that. I remember you said that the point of this podcast isn't just to show someone's successes and all that, and just be like, oh, I'm
Mm-hmm,
this big guy. It's also to show
mm-hmm.
the realities you've gone through. And thank you for reminding me of that. Now, here's the funny thing. I'm enjoying my life so much that I've forgotten. I've forgotten that I had to go through that phase of my life. So
Mm,
that's how hopeful. That's how much hope I hope I can give someone. But I think I can give people
mm,
the nitty gritty of that, right? So,
yeah.
of course, I entered university for computer science, and my reason for doing that was that even in secondary school, I was the arts guy, right? But conventional wisdom, they were like, oh, you don't need to do art, 100%. You can do like science. or BDE, you can still do arts by the side, right? So I followed conventional
Mm.
wisdom, and I was thinking that, okay, what course can I do that would allow me to still do the whole drawing thing, pursue comics and all that. And computer science was what came up. Number one, it sounds respectable. Then number two, I thought it could give me time for that, right? Little did I know that OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University's computer science is not playing with you. They are out for your life. And I did computer science with math. Math. If you went to OAU, you know Yellow House. You know. so so I mean, it was not funny. I remember the first year, part one, what we call part one in OAU. I was a good boy. I tried to get good grades. I remember my first semester was steady, grades were steady. Second semester was when I brought my laptop to school and I started practicing again. Grades started shaking, but it wasn't bad, right? So first year was okay. So that's how, second year was really bad, right? Um, I made some decisions that were wrong that put me in a financially, bad spot that just put me under pressure to now try to fend for myself, right? So, second year was when I started skipping classes a lot, skipping classes a lot. It got bad was at the later end of the second year. So the third year, my GP was so low, was really low. You get what I'm saying? And it got to a point where it was looking like, if you continue with this GP, it's looking like you would need to be withdrawn from school. You get what I'm saying? So
Mm.
there were two options, either you either you work hard, you take a leave, I think it was leave of absence or something, and then come back and work super hard to resuscitate that GPA, or you cross to another department, right? And what crossing to another department means is that you're spending extra time in the university system, right? Um, so you know, I of course I just decided that, okay, I will cross, right? And you were like, oh, have you thought about it? Your mates would have graduated while you still be in school. I said, I'll cross. Eh, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? I will cross. I'm crossing to finance. Let me do let me go to where I know I can do what I can do. You get what I'm saying? So the funny thing is, I think I just had a healthy mindset that I don't rate my life based on how my mates are doing, or how my mates are doing relative to me. The truth is, I genuinely want everybody to do well at the same time. And if my path of doing well means that I need to go a certain way, and my friend's path of doing well means he needs to go a certain way, then let us do that. You get what I'm saying? Like, for example, this podcast is a
Yeah.
testament to how well I think I did. Is that even though I left the
Mm.
computer science space, I still keep in touch with some of the friends that I have from there. Some of your past guests, I know
Mm.
we still say hello to each other once in a while. So meaning that the whole going to crossing to fine arts, yes, I mean it was challenging. I won't lie, it was a challenge, right? But it didn't dent my ego. I'm so happy I actually went through that.
Mm.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't share this story often enough in detail to people, but I just feel like it's one of those things I think people can learn from, is that it's never too late to start again, especially when you want something. It's never just be insistent on what you want. At the end of the day, because like the true value of life is the fact that you're actually you're actually living it and enjoying it. You get what I'm saying? Now,
Mm.
I'm not saying money is not important. Okay, money is very important. Okay, being rich is important in life, or not being rich. Let me just say having your needs met is important. But like, what's more important than that? To be honest, is living a life of, you know, there's a danger of sounding like a motivational speaker now, but living a life that is just purposeful. You get where you may not be making $1 million, but you know that every part of your life is under your control and you are actively making decisions about it. So that's how I felt about when I crossed into the finance department. Was that when I was in computer, computer department and all that, it felt like everything was out of my control. I couldn't handle anything. When we're in the classes, especially for math and all that, I felt like I didn't understand anything. And this was me that I'm used to
Mm,
being a whiz kid in school. For the first time I entered
mm.
an exam hall and I was blank. I remember one abstract math course like that. I remember, and but when I cried, the course.
Oh
I
my
don't want to
God,
mention
yeah,
names
you.
here, please. The course, the lecturer. Hey God, yellow house. Is well, we shall
Oh my
survive.
God.
You know, but when I crossed to fine arts, it's not as if the challenges went away, but at least I could face those
Mm,
challenges with my hands. I know that, because I remember when I crossed to fine arts, another challenge I had was that I was relegated to um, majoring in what we call painting. That is oil painting, traditional painting, watercolors, and all that. And this is me that I'm used to
mm,
computer, digital arts, right? So there was another
mm,
challenge, right? But at least I was happy that, okay, this challenge is something I will handle. Yes, I'm being naughty and lazy by complaining about this challenge, but at least I can handle it. And I handled it, and I learned my lessons from it. You know, so you get but that down period of like, oh, you have crossed to another department. Now you are a year behind your quote unquote your mates, right? Yeah, I know it was a down moment. Spend more time in the university system than you wanted to, than you planned to. But I won't lie, no regrets. Like we said, now you even had to kind of juggle my
mm.
brain about it. That shows you how much I'm not even. I'm not. I don't even
Yeah,
see it as a disadvantage. I'm so happy for that transition, and I would just encourage anybody that is listening to me that now I'm not saying throw your degree and follow your passion. I'm just saying be insistent on what you want and be responsible about it. So that's
yeah,
basically it.
yeah. It's fun. I'm happy that you're even so confident saying all those things because there are a lot of people that might not have recovered from something like that because they will always
Yeah,
still feel like they're way behind because of just something that happened. Sometimes if things don't go your way, it just means that it's not just your part. Just look for another for another route to it.
to be
Okay,
honest, though,
like
to be
it's
honest,
yeah, it necessarily does not have to be the way you think it should be most of the time. We make plans, right? But at the end of the day, it's God's purpose concerning that surely will come to
right,
establishment. So
right,
yeah, and it's not wrong to make plans. It is very good to have plans, but sometimes your plans just don't they just don't work
right,
out,
hundred
right?
percent,
And you
hundred
can't say
percent.
because you can't say yeah, you can't say because of that you're folding your arms and you're saying, okay, I'm not doing anything again. But look at you
Right,
now. You have been able to rise up from there and come on. So
right,
there's no, as I said,
hundred
there's no
percent.
way you're talking about comics here in Nigeria and you won't like say Toy or
I beg
you,
you, I'm
you get my
loyal.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah, but really, it's sometimes it's just good to after challenge, sometimes face some challenges in life, and that as a way that it strengthens your mindset, strengthens the way you do things, makes you
yeah,
immune to some challenges that some people face, and just like, oh, this is not a big deal. This is not a big deal in that sense. I faced it,
hundred
and
percent,
I'm good to go. So,
100%.
so yeah. Now coming to like the very end of this podcast. Uh, I think I told you about it. So there's this tradition that we have at Dole Tag. So imagine yourself you're at a dinner, right? It's just so random. Imagine yourself you're at a
Oh
dinner
my
and
god, I didn't
you
prepare
need
for
to
this question well enough. Continue, don't worry.
and you need
The
to
more the more unprepared I am,
I
the better.
I need to bring in 5 people for the event. So plus you making 6, 5 people for the event, dead or alive. So let me know who they are and why you want them on the table, and what would you guys be eating at the table at the dinner?
Good. And your guests have answered these questions successfully.
Yeah, we have answered.
5 people, that's a lot.
Yeah,
5 people is a lot. Uh,
dead or alive can be somebody who died like years ago. I don't know. Might just be somebody that you admire, somebody that you wish to be. I don't know.
Honestly,
Hmm.
well, I think the answer would be, some of my favorite authors, right? Because some people when they
Okay.
write, I'm just like, oh, you know, I sometimes I think writing is like magic because some people are so good that I'm like, how do you do these words like this? So I know I know I would definitely want to have a dinner with C.S. Lewis, right? I would want to
Okay.
have a dinner with Cal Newport, right? Because that guy is like he's I don't know if you've heard of him actually. He writes books on like how to be effective in your work and all that. And when you hear him talking,
Okay.
it's like he talks as if he's a robot, as if he doesn't have feelings. It's like he says outlandish things like, "Oh, delete your social media." I'm like, do you know what you're saying? you know, so
Yeah.
Cal Newport will be there. Um, you know, there's some creative writers I really love their books. There's one called Josiah Bancroft. He writes fiction, but he writes it in
Okay.
a way that is just so interesting. There's another fictional writer too, Brandon Sanderson. That one
Okay.
is so fast. He writes gigantic books and he's so fast. He's so prolific, so productive.
Okay.
So it's
So
mostly yeah. That's
that's
four.
for
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Uh, who else? Who else? Who else? Let me think. Let me remove myself from the author space now. Let me look for. Oh yes, there's a musician I adore. There's a comp. Is a he makes compositions like piano,
Okay.
ambient stuff. Tony Anderson, 100%. In
Oh.
fact, it should be the first on my list. So Tony Anderson, C.S. Lewis, Cal Newport, Josiah Bancroft. Who else? No Nigerian on this list. What a shame.
Wow.
Who else?
Oh
Who
my
else did I
god.
say? Yeah, so that's pretty much it, Jerry.
Okay. Okay. So what would you guys be having for dinner?
We will eat. Um, yeah, I'll just since all of them are foreigners, I'll just order abula for all of them. Or Nigerian jollof.
Okay.
I would want to see C.S. Lewis appreciate Nigerian jollof with his
No, no,
British
no.
accents. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's good. So also one other tradition that we have is that the previous guests will always leave a question for the current guest, for the next guest. So this is a question from the previous guest. So the previous guest we had on the show was Falasha Diadigbite. She's a very good friend of my product
yeah.
designer. And so she left a question. She said, what problem can you see in your area of vicinity? And how can you be of help to solve that problem? Are you seeing any problem in your area or your vicinity? And if there is, how can you be of help to solve that kind of problem?
Ooh, um, what problem do I see? What problem do I see? I don't know, man. Your last guest is a very serious person. She's very very serious. Um, well, I think so. For example, I mean, sometimes I complain that small business owners,
Mhm.
they don't treat some aspects of their work that have to do with like user experience. They don't see the gravity of it sometimes. So sometimes I gripe about it, like when I have to order things from small business owners, you know. Um, so as for what I can do to enhance that, it's now probably the question. Hmm, I don't know. I don't know. Talk to
I'm pretty
them,
sure it's going to
you
be
know.
more than just complaining about it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I have this one that there was one that's I mean the person was selling person is selling parfait uh parfait fruit juice and all that. So I just the person sent their menu to me, right? And it was a WhatsApp text. And I was like the menu was a WhatsApp text, like, okay, pick one out of this. And I was like, what is this? So I got on the project, I opened I opened Figma and started designing menu for the person, right? So but somewhere along the line I paused on the project and all that because my point was that I wanted to design the menu for the person and then send it to her that okay, please from now on don't ever send WhatsApp text to your customers. Please just use these designs. Don't worry, free of charge, so
Mm.
as you discussed this now, I'm actually like 80% done. So I think what's delaying me is the fact that when you are putting a lot of menu, whatever. There's a lot of tweaking of like, oh, prices have changed and all that. So,
Yeah.
so that was my own solution to her problem, as it were. So as we've discussed this, I think I would close out that project in the following week. Today is a Saturday, so I'll now commit to
Okay.
closing out that project from that. So does that
Okay.
satisfy the question?
Yeah, I think it does.
To an
Whoever the
extent,
person is, Tonya has said it now on the internet
I've
that
said it
you will
publicly.
complete your project.
Chances of the person listening to me to this is slim, but at least I've said it. I've committed myself publicly. I will do
Yeah.
it. I will finish it up.
Yeah, and also, do you have any question? I want you to drop a question for the next guest. Any question. It doesn't
Now,
have to
so
be so deep.
you see, that's the problem. I had a question that wasn't deep, but now that your former your former guest has given me a deep question, I must pay it forward. I must pay it
Okay.
forward. Um. Okay. Yeah. So there's this question that's been um that I've been thinking of recently, and as much as I want the next person to think about it, I think I want anybody that listens to this to also think about this. And the question is that if um if the you now, I mean, okay, so like if 10 years ago you knew that you would achieve everything you were ambitious for, that you ever wanted, that you ever desired, do you think that you would have handled things differently, in terms of like relationships, the people that you let go, the people that you interacted with, if you knew that, okay, yes, I'm ambitious about this thing, I'm passionate about this thing, but then if you knew that it was always going to happen, no matter what, it was going to unfold, do you think that you had regrets on your way to achieving that thing, or do you think you did it well, that you didn't step on anyone's toes, and you can legitimately say that, yeah, I did this with honest labor, and I'm not putting anyone down to achieve the success I have currently. So yeah, I think it's a question. I think your next guest should hold it. Then, if that one is too serious, just ask your next guest that. How do you like plantain fried? Do you like it golden plantain or brown squishy plantain? I'm for
Okay,
the squishy one.
that's interesting. Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Really, really, really. I'm happy that we have been able to have this time to talk to a. I know that's always been in my mind for us to be able to have this chance to be able to talk and learn from you also in that sense, and share ideas, learn, look at your experience, what are things you have been facing, what are things that's been good and bad, because I don't expect everything to have been smooth, and I'm happy you have been able to create the time to be able to do this. um Thank you so much,
Shit.
Doltag listeners. We really, really do appreciate you. Thank you for taking
Thank
the
you
time
so
out to do
much.
this.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and
Thank you so much.
to all my listeners outside out there, guys, you know that I am usually putting out the best for you guys. No filtering, it's not scripted in any way. You can see that we're just it's just like a conversation that's
Yeah.
just ongoing, and
Yeah.
yeah. So and that's the point of it. So please, for those that have not subscribed, wherever it is you're listening on, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever, just click on the subscribe button, and that will let me know that you are enjoying what we're putting out there. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Toyin, thank you so much for being on the show. And
Thank you so much, Dotag.
thank you for
Thank you.
being on the show. So yeah, so guys, see you another time, sometimes next week. I don't know who my next guest will be, so hopefully I find somebody also interesting to bring on the show. Thank you guys. Have a
Awesome.
wonderful day.